Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. Today we have Captain Naveen Nagappa, sir, Sena Middle from the Indian Army. So he is also a Kargil War veteran. So in this interview, we'll try to understand his journey of joining the Indian Army, life with the Indian Army, and how was his experience during the Kargil War. So thanks a lot, sir, for coming on this interview and welcome.
Thanks, Akash. Thanks so much for giving me this platform. And what better occasion, being 25 years of Kargil War. It's really a pleasure to be on this platform and relive those memories wherein I had got an opportunity to fight on the Battle of 4875. That was 25 years back. By this time, we were already done with the uh, attack on 5140 as well as 4875. It will be wonderful to interact with you and relive those memories.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So if you could tell us, how was your journey before joining the Forge and what was your motivation back then to join the Indian Army?
Okay, Akash, the thing is, I hail from a place called Hubli, which is part of Dharwad district in Karnataka. I spent most of my childhood there. As a matter of fact, my schooling plus one, plus two, I did it from Hubli itself. And to say about my childhood, I was sort of, I'm an outdoor person, never into, not into too much of academics. Totally an outdoor person. You name a sport, you name a game, I was good at it. Uh, and then subsequently, I did my mechanical engineering from Bapuji Institute of Engineering Technology,
Okay.
and that was in the year '96 I completed. Uh, yeah, that's about my childhood. And coming to the my academic qualification, coming to why I joined the defense forces was right from my childhood. As I told you, I was very good at sports. And there came a point in time when I joined my plus one and plus two. I used to see my NCC officer,
Hmm.
and I was impressed by him. The way he used to conduct himself, they used to stand, the way he used to command, they used to give orders. It really fascinated me. And within a whisker, 2 years passed, and then I happened to join my B Bapuji Institute. There also we had an NCC officer, and gradually I grew very close to him, in the sense, he used to narrate stories about whenever we used to go to camps. He used to narrate about war experiences that really charmed me. And
Hmm.
that was the formative years. That is the time I decided, if there has to be a career for me, that has to be the defense forces. And yes, the first interview, you'll be surprised. 96 May completed my engineering, and the first interview I attended was service selection board, and God was kind enough, I got through.
Got it, sir. So if you could, narrate your experience in the service selection board and what tips you would like to give to the aspirants, who go for SSP.
Oh, absolutely. As I told you, I completed my engineering, and then the first interview I attended was service selection board. That was in Bangalore, of course. And the day I landed up in service selection board, I was taken aback. Taken aback. I was taken. It was like a cultural shock to me. Why I say cultural shock to me was the previous batch had a strength of 80, and it had got washed out. None of
Okay.
them had got selected. And the day I entered, it was in the sort of late evening. The time was given to us to join by so and so time in the evening. From the next day onwards, the selection procedure would have to start. The day I joined, it was slightly late in the evening. When I went into the barracks, I could see, a lot of people were, discussing amongst themselves. There were a lot of, there were a lot of aspirants who were from the defense background. And if not from the defense background, definitely they had some sort of a coaching, they had some training institutes they had already gone through, and they knew what is going to happen the first day, what's going to happen the second day, third day, what are they going to ask, generally what will be the pattern,
Hmm.
everything. They were aware about it, but I was clueless. I was a raw candidate. I was just out of my engineering college. Just that, with an ambition, with an aim that I have to don the uniform, I'd gone to the service selection board. When I went there, when I saw people discussing, I was wondering, I mean, where do you stand? And what are your chances of getting through? That night I made up, Akash, I decided one thing. I made up my mind, ki, come what may. Matlab, the outcome is not in my hand,
Hmm.
but the performance is in my hand. So I thought, let me give it my best shot. Whatever best I can do in any task what has been given to me, I'll put my best foot forward. And the final day when the selection procedure was over, when the when the final day of announcing the name, that procedure we entered into that, the first name was announced, I was not there. The second name was announced, I was not there. And then it hit me like it hit me like a rock. Previous batch had got
Mm-hmm.
washed out. This batch already two people have selected. I, without any defense background, no knowledge of the defense forces, no training. I was wondering, ये हो गया बस मेरा मतलब है ना कहानी खत्म हो गया. Then third name, my chest number, the third name, my chest number was announced. I was so thrilled. I was so thrilled. It was like a dream come true for me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt really elated. And after that, the medical started for another week, and I had some issues in the leg. There was, I don't say it was a temporary rejection, but the doctor had put an observation and then had to undergo an
Okay,
X-ray. And in the X-ray, it was found there was no deformity in the leg as such. And yes, I got selected,
got it,
and
sir.
it was wonderful. And as you asked, what I would like to convey to the defense aspirants is, I am a classic example. I am not saying ki matlab I'm not for once telling people not to join the training establishments, training academies. I'm not telling them not to join that. But what I feel is, I got selected, or my chances got bright, because I was true to myself. Whatever came to my mind, it is not that somebody had told me, "Okay, this question is posed to you, this is
Mm-hmm.
the answer you have to give." I was not, I was not tutored to say something to a particular question. And I had decided I'll give my best, and it was from the heart. Whatever they asked me, whatever was true, I didn't try to project somebody else. I was Naveen, and I projected myself as Naveen.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, that is the reason I got selected, and I would like to convey the same to the different aspirants as well. I'm repeating, not saying that you do. I'm not saying that you don't go to any training establishment. You definitely go. You understand the procedure. You should know the sequence of events which are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But let them not tutor you to the extent कि मतलब if this question is posed to you, this is the answer to be given. If this story or this image is flashed, this is the story to be written.
Mm-hmm.
Let's no there is a psychologist sitting there for the
Yeah.
very this fact that he is able to judge whether it is you who is speaking, or is you're speaking somebody else's language. You
Mm-hmm.
speak your language, your chances of getting selected become brighter.
Correct. Thank you, sir. So, if you could also tell us, the sequence of events which actually led to the Kargil War, if you can narrate that for us.
Okay, before that, a slight background about myself. When I completed after this selection, I joined Indian Military Academy. I trained for 1 year, and after successful completion of 1 year, I joined a unit called 13th Battalion, the Jammu and Kashmir
Yeah.
Rifles. We were located in a place called Sopore. We were not in the line of control, and we were inducted there. We were told, the unit was told to move from counter-insurgency area to the line of control where the actual war is happening. Now coming to the background of Kargil War in a nutshell, I don't want to go into too much of a background where we had conducted
Yeah.
in their 97, 98, we conducted nuclear blasts. So did our adversaries. They also conducted within a span of 14 days. After we conducted nuclear tests, they also conducted a nuclear
Mm-hmm.
test. And there are a lot of international sanctions, be it economic, be it technological, be it arms and armaments, defense. There are a lot of sanctions which had happened, and probably that's the time the then Prime Minister Vajpayee had taken this Lahore bus diplomacy. When this euphoria was getting generated, कि मतलब let's build friendship, let's
Mm-hmm.
do away with our animosity, let's resolve by peaceful methods, and all this euphoria was on. That is the time, they were trying, our adversaries were planning something very adverse. What happens is, if Srinagar to Leh highway is a stretch of around 300 odd, 360, 400 kilometers odd stretch, a lot of hills and hillocks there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Not every feature can be guarded. There are certain features, there are certain hills which we guard, and which are of advantage to us, which are of vantage position to us. When I say vantage position, if you sit on top of that feature, if you're guarding that feature, you should be able to overlook either the line of control, or you should be able to overlook the highway,
Mm-hmm.
or for that matter, you should be able to cut some of the ingress routes. So
Correct.
these are selected features where we select, and these are the features which are guarded. And if there are 10 people who are sitting on that feature, there are another set of 10 people who are required to deliver them arms, ammunitions, food on a
Okay.
weekly basis or once in 10 days. They have to go it and deliver and come back. You all know there's a lot of snow which happens there. As a result, what happens is there comes a point in time when this system cannot be maintained. There's a lot of snow, and that area gets cut off. The people who are getting sitting up, they get stuck up. The people who are down will not be able to access the pinnacle. So, in order to avoid this, in what we do is we something called winter vacated posts. We vacate those posts and come back. And subsequently, when the snow starts melting, we reoccupy those posts. So, this is the methodology which was being adopted for ages together. As we do it, as the Indian Army did it, so did the Pakistani Army. They also followed the same
Mm,
methodology. But however, in 1999, what they did was, as I told you, we are trying to, at one point, one side, we were trying to build friendship, the
yeah.
other side, they were trying to betray us. And with the proper planning, what they did was, they came and occupied our posts. They came and occupied our post, which we had vacated. Few of those posts and few other posts also, or few other features also, they came and occupied. This is how this is the actually the genesis of the Kargil War.
Understood, sir. So if you could also speak about, about the role your battalion played, the 13th JAKRIF, during the Kargil War. Also, I understand that you are also operating with Captain Vikram Batra, so you can narrate that experience as well.
Absolutely. You see, 13th Battalion Jammu and Kashmir Rifles. Uh, Let me tell you, if in the history of independent India, if there is any one unit which has won two Paramveer Chakras in a single battle, that is my unit, the 13th Battalion Jammu and
Mm,
Kashmir Rifles. Very proud to be part of that battalion. Having said that, I am not for once saying that the other battalions did not do well, or they did not contribute to the extent 13 JAKRIF contributed. Uh, a disclaimer is, in Kargil War, everybody played a role. Be it an infantry soldier, we hear a lot of infantry soldiers
mm,
because they were the actual people who faced the brunt of the war. But without the contribution of ESC,
mm,
artillery, the medical corps, like everyone contributed, right from in a unit, right from a cook, right from a barber, right from the masalchi, right from people who were delivering arms and ammunition. They were helping us to carry arms and ammunition. The driver, the nursing assistant, everybody contributed. Whatever success we could achieve, the Indian Army could achieve, because of the collective contribution of all these people.
mm,
Now coming back to my unit, 13th Battalion Jammu and Kashmir Rifles. What a fantastic unit it was. January 1999, December 98, I get commissioned. January 99, I go and join in unit, my unit, which was based in Sopore. And when I went there, what set of fantastic officers we had. I have no inhibitions in saying whatever I learned in Indian Military Academy for 1 year,
mm,
or for that matter, whatever life experiences I had gained before I joined JAKRIF, those were the formative years. The officers there took so much of pains. The JCOs, the Jamans took so much of pains to get me imbibed, to get me inculcated, to get me, inside as being a part of that JAKRIF it's tremendous. Name an officer, Major Ajay Singh Jasrotia, Captain Vikram Batra, Major Gurpreet, Major Bhaskar. Then I'm talking about their ranks. Then
mm,
Major Bhaskar, Lieutenant Colonel Y.K. Joshi, who retired as an
mm,
army commander. Jamwal sir, Chatterjee sir, a fantastic set of officers. They groomed me a lot, and it was it was God has been. I always tell God has been kind to me, that I got selected in the very first attempt, and I got an opportunity to join a unit as good as JAKRIF,
mm,
and they did wonderful. As I told, if getting two Paramveer Chakras in a single battle is no mean task. And
mm,
if an unit gets two Paramveer Chakras in a single battle, of course, Captain Vikram Batra, Sir Vicky sir had done his bit in point 5140 also, and for its Senpai, he made the ultimate sacrifice. Collectively, he was given Paramveer Chakra for both the attacks. And on point 48 Senpai, it was Sanjay Kumar as well,
mm,
Rifleman Sanjay Kumar, who got PVC. And yeah, it's a proud privilege for me that I had the opportunity to fight the Kargil battle on point 4875 with these two legends.
Understood, sir. So if you could also tell us, what were your thoughts and feelings, when you went for an attack and of the soldiers as well? How was that?
Okay, the 13 JAKRIF actually carried out two attacks. The first attack was on point 5140. Point 514 was just a word about the attack on point 5140. It was carried out on 19th of June, led by Vicky sir, Captain Vikram
Mm.
Batra, and Jimmy sir, Captain
Jamal.
Sanjeev Singh Jambal. These were the two young officers who led
Mm.
the battle of 5140. And what a fantastic attack they carried out. Trust me when I say this. 19th June, the attack commenced. That was the D-Day for the attack, and they head on to the feature. And within 48 hours, 48 hours, we still remember we were, we all the officers, including the CEO, we were all sitting, in front of we had a radio set then. The means
Okay.
of communication was radio set, and then the first signal was "Oh yeah yeah." Oh yeah yeah was Jimmy sir, Jimmy Jamal sir ka success signal tha. Oh yeah yeah. And when the success signal came, oh yeah, we were partly relieved, that Jimmy sir has attained success. And at some point we were happy. At the same time, we were also wondering, what is happening to Vicky sir, Batra sir ka koi message nahi aa raha. And being the kind of daredevil officer he was, he doesn't think. He's a person who doesn't think twice. The task has to be done. It has to be done, whatever be the consequence. He was that kind of a person. And he'll charge frontal attack करना है, वो सोचेगा नहीं. तो हम लोग पूरे सारे मतलब टेंस बैठे हुए थे कि क्या होगा, विकी सर का कुछ मैसेज नहीं आया. एंड आफ्टर दिस मैसेज ऑफ वो आया जिम्मी सर का मैसेज के बाद, मे बी अराउंड half an hour to 40 minutes later, there is another message which is conveyed to us. ये दिल मांगे मोर. It set the tone, it set the mood of the battalion. Then we were so happy that both the officers have captured the task which has been given to both officers has been accomplished. And subsequently we came to know the icing on the cake was, we didn't have a single casualty then on that
Okay.
day of the attack. We didn't have a single casualty. And just imagine, Akash, just imagine, if there's some ailment amongst us, just to draw a comparison. अगर आप हमें हेडेक हो जाता है, पेट का दर्द हो जाता है, what we do, we rush to the doctor,
Yeah.
take some tablets, take injections, and we just want to get rid of that. Imagine in a scenario like a battle, you never know which step is going to be your last step, because
Mm.
you step and then a mine explodes, a shell lands, you are blown apart, you'll be shredded into pieces. You are trying to run from one boulder to another boulder. You never know where a sniper is sitting or where somebody can fire at you, and you get shot and you are no more. That's the end of it.
Mm.
In spite of all these difficulties, in spite of all these difficulties, if a person, fighting all odds, capturing the picture of 0.45140, and then if standing on top of the picture, if he says, "Ye dil mange more," that has to be Captain Vikram Batra, and I believe nobody else can do it. He was such a fantastic officer. So having said that, the first attack was over. I didn't have any role to play in that. We were all officers waiting in reserve. Touch wood, God forbid, if something had happened to these officers, and some of us would have to go and launch ourselves. And this was the first attack. It was euphoria. We came down. That 0.5140 was handed over to the subsequent unit. They took care of that. We came down, and subsequently the next attack was on 0.4875.
Mm.
Here I had a role to play. Now coming back to your question, ki, matlab, what does a soldier think? We all talk about battles. We all talk about war. We talk about carrying our weapons, shooting at the enemy, somebody getting shot, losing our lives, sacrificing ourselves, injuring, final victory. All these are discussed. But what we generally tend to neglect or not discussed among ourselves, not bring it to the notice of the general public, is what goes through a soldier's mentality. What does he think? How does he react? What is he thinking just before being launched for the attack? There are a couple of things which I would like to touch upon. I was part of the Charlie company. Major Gurpreet Singh was the
Mm.
company commander, and we had to lead an attack on 0.4875. There are certain set of formalities. Everybody has his own way. Every officer has his own way of motivating the men. Getting taking charge of them. Charging them up and preparing them for the battle. I had a certain set of this thing. The first thing what I did was imagine assembling 120 people in front of me. We had a set of 120 people, the Charlie company strength, and I had to tell them ki matlab you write a letter. There's something called unposted letters.
Hmm.
What it exactly means is I'll have to tell them ki matlab you write a letter, address it to whomsoever you want to. In case you don't come back from the battlefield, that letter will be handed over to the person whom you have addressed it to. In case you come back from the battlefield, that letter will be returned back to you. It may look so simple. As we are discussing, you feel it's pretty simple. You know what's the big deal about it? But imagine, Akash, I had put in 6 months of service. I joined in January. We are talking about June and July. We are launching that act.
Yeah.
June and we are talking 6 months of service. I was how much just out of the engineering college, trained, and then straight into the battlefield. I was around 23, 24 years of age with 6 months of service, standing in front of 120 people and telling them, if you don't come back from the battlefield, that effectively means you may die in the battlefield. No matter how strong you are, no matter how brave you are, you will not be able to convey that. Trust me, it's very difficult to look into the eyes of a soldier and tell them you may not come back from the battlefield. But the task had to be done. I did that. A lot of people wrote letters and deposited. I also wrote and deposited the letter. Just imagine now, uh, touchwood, such a situation should not arise with anyone. In case, hypothetically, in case any one of us, the audience who are listening us, in case we had to write the last letter, you know, when you're writing that letter, you are basically assuming that you are not going to come back.
Hmm.
No, what are we going to write? What are we going to tell to our parents? Isn't it difficult? Isn't it arduous task? But it's a this thing in a part of the war, part of the battle. We had to do that. We did that. The next thing what we do is we deposit all our belongings. When I say belongings, be it our identity card, be it our wallets, be it our lockets, everything gets deposited. And I'll have to tell them to deposit everything, and people will deposit it. It may again look pretty simple. What's the big deal? Why carry more weight? Yeah, deposit
Hmm.
everything. You come back and get it. It's not so. Akash, it's not so. The thing is, I have seen soldiers, opening up their purses, opening up their wallets, and then maybe they had photograph of their near and dear ones, maybe a photograph of their children, photograph of his wife, his parents, intensely looking at it and tears rolling down their eyes. Just imagine what would be going through their mind.
Hmm.
Hypothetically, probably they're thinking thousands of miles away on a godforsaken hillock. If they're shot and if they had to breathe their last, forget about talking to their parents, near and dear ones, touching, feeling their kids, kith and kin. Forget about feeling, talking to them. They'll not be able to even forget about speaking. Also, they'll not be able to see the photographs of their near and dear ones. That is the condition we had to fight in. These are the issues which go through a soldier's mind. But trust me when I say this, all this said and done, 4th July 1999 was the D-Day for the attack. We had to launch an attack on 4th of July 99. Okay, शाम हो रहा था, मतलब अंधेरा हो रहा था, अंधेरा होते ही हमें लड़ाई पे चढ़ना था. तो हम शाम में क्या होता है, देयर इज पंडित जी आता है, पंडित जी
Hmm.
हवन कंडक्ट करता है. हम हवन हो गया, तिलक लगाया मेरे ऊपर, वेपन को भी तिलक लगाया, एवरीबडी सबको तिलक लगाया. And thereafter we have a formality wherein the officers who are going to lead the attack go and meet every other officer. So my commanding officer was there. I go meet him. He gave a firm handshake, a pat on my back, and said, Naveen, you take care of your men. Men will take care of you. I did not know. I did not understand. Why is he saying that? What is the implications of that? I did not realize that. I had to realize it only when I was injured, fighting for my life in the battlefield. And then when I go there last May, Captain Vikram Batra kade. And Vikram Batra, when I saw, I thought he was already hero, 0.5140. He has won for us. His image was in the newspapers. He's, a famous interview of Barkadat, where he
Yeah.
said, Dil mange more. That was telecasted, and he was already hero. I thought he'll give me a punch word, he's going to motivate me. I go to him, and he gives me a tap on my back. Gale lagne se pehle said, Gale lagna yaar, na jaane kaun si mulaqat aakhri hogi. Akash, when he said that and when he gave me a hug, that is the time I realized here I was till now trying to motivate my men. Without realizing ki, matlab, I also may not come back from the battlefield. The moment he said that and gave me a hug, I realized, yes, It may I also may not come back from the battlefield. That is the time realization hit me. And after that, I moved aside, 120 men all said, we chucked our weapons. I was carrying an AK-47, we chucked our weapons, the medium machine gun, light machine gun, the rocket launcher, the radio set, the frequency, everything was set. We checked and rechecked. And finally, our unit war cry, 13th Battalion, Jammu and Kashmir Rifles, war cry was Durga Mata Ki Jai.
Hmm.
And once we called Durga Mata Ki Jai, 120 men standing behind me, calling Durga Mata Ki Jai. What an electrifying atmosphere it was. Probably till then we had this fear called fear of uncertainty. What's going to happen? What's not going to happen? It's how many days it's going to take. Will we come back? Will we come back in one piece? Will we we may be able to walk, or somebody has to carry us? All these fear of uncertainties are there. Once Durga Mata Ki Jai was called, there was only one thing in our mind: come what may, whatever be the consequence, the tricolor has to be hoisted on point for its and five. That was the only thing in our mind. So these are the set of emotions. These are mixed sort of emotions till the time actual battle is getting launched. When we are setting out right for the attack, there are a lot of emotions which are playing in our mind. And once we are all set, we are ready to launch the attack and cry or war cry. There's no looking back after that.
Understood, sir.
That's how
So,
it was.
if you could also tell us, how did you get injured, and how were you evacuated?
Okay. Okay, let me tell you. 4th of July, as I told you, 4th of July, we had launched the attack. When I say launching an attack, when I say 0.4875, it is just not that, on the pinnacle, on the hilltop, there are few enemies sitting. It's not so. It's a very huge feature. It's a huge feature. And wherever there is a ridge line, that is wherever there is a possibility for us to climb, they would have built bunkers and sangars there. They would be guarding that, either in the form of a bunker, either in the form of a sangar, or just sitting behind a boulder, hiding themselves, and waiting for us to come. So it takes an effort to clear one by one, one by one, one by one. To cut the story short, let me tell you how I got injured. 4th July, we launched an attack. Remember, 4th afternoon, we had our meal. After that, this havan was conducted. After that, these formalities were conducted. After that, the rechecking was done, the war cry, and then we start for the attack. Now, 4th night, we launched an attack. As I told you, it's a huge feature. 4th entire night we fight. 5th day we fight. 5th night we fight. 6th afternoon tak ladai chalta raha. Because for us, every inch of the territory is important.
Hmm.
Every inch we are occupying one bunker, that means we are holding a picture there. We have got a foothold there. We are running from one boulder to another boulder. That means we are covering that much of distance. We are inching closer to that final objective. 6th afternoon को एक रेडियो मैसेज आता है. Colonel Joshi, he sends a message. He asked me, Naveen, 4th July was the last meal, lunch you had. Now it's 6th afternoon. It's been 48 hours. Do you want me to send something for you guys to eat? I knew, if the food has to fetch, it has to fetch right from the bottom. And fighting for 48 hours, we had already started expending our ammunitions. So I go back on the radio set, and through Major Gurpreet Singh, we convey back that, sir, आप खाने की चिंता छोड़ दीजिए, हमें ammunition की कमी पड़ रहा है. Why don't you send us some ammunition? That is the time, Captain Vikram Batra, along with his team, come and join us. And when he came and joined us, it was a new way of enthusiasm. Batra sir aa gaye to naya josh ke sath humne ladai shuru kiya. But you all guys would be wondering, 4th afternoon we had the lunch. We were talking about 6th afternoon. How did we survive? 2 days, 48 hours without food and water. Trust me when I say this. Even in the month of July, we had snow-capped mountains.
Hmm.
In patches you will find snows, and the snow also would have been very dirty. There was a lot of shelling which has happened. You would have walked on it. Somebody has got shot. Blood has oozed out on the on the barf pe gir gaya. So what happens is the upper layer of the barf jo hai na, it's ganda ho chuka hai. So what we used to do is we used to scoop the entire upper portion of the ice, and the lower portion of the ice, which was relatively fresh, we used to put it in our mouth just to get a feel that something has gone into our stomach. We had something to eat. That is the way we carried the attack. And now coming to the point how I got injured, by seventh early morning तक ये लड़ाई ऐसे ही चलता रहा. हम we are trying to I am sitting here, बत्रा सर मेरे साथ बैठे हुए, गुरप्रीत सर आगे बैठे हुए थे. So he was trying to give me fire. I used to move ahead. I used to plonk myself there, and then I used to give covering fire. Batra sir used to come, and ऐसे ही लड़ाई चलता रहता. One incident about बत्रा सर के बारे में बताना चाहूंगा यहाँ पे. Imagine सिक्स नाइट को हम साथ में बैठे हुए हैं. जब भी हम मुझे मौका मिल रहा था आगे जा रहा था, मतलब फायर कर रहा था. अगर एमिनेशन कम हो जाता है, मैगजीन खत्म हो जाता है ना, मैगजीन निकालते हैं एंड दूसरे मैगजीन लगा के भी स्टार्ट फायरिंग. And once that also gets consumed, what I used to do was I used to come down, pick up a few more magazines, fit it onto the weapon, take a spare magazine, and then used to go ahead. एक बार ऐसे हुआ, मैं नीचे आ गया रात को, 6 रात को नीचे आ गया था. बत्रा सर वहां पे बैठे हुए थे, एंड जैसे मैंने कुछ मैगजीन्स कलेक्ट किया, एंड देन आई वाज अबाउट टू रश अगेन टू द फ्यूचर अहेड. उस टाइम पे बत्रा सर ने मुझे नवीन थोड़ी देर बैठ जा. And I sat with him, and trust me, believe me, imagine हम लोग लड़ाई चल रहा है वहां पे, गोला मतलब firing is on, firefight is on, there's shelling which is happening. In spite of all this, imagine, can you imagine what we were discussing? मैं तो उनके साथ बैठा हुआ था, ऐसे ही गप्पे लगा रहे थे. एंड आई सेड कि सर बता सर, मेरा 6 महीना और बचा हुआ है इस यूनिट के साथ. 6 महीने के बाद मैं दूसरे यूनिट में चला जाऊंगा. पता नहीं आपसे मुलाकात होगा नहीं होगा, कभी मिल पाएंगे नहीं मिल पाएंगे. एंड यू नो व्हाट ही सेज कि नवीन तो ऐसा क्यों बोलता है, तू जैक्रिफ में कन्वर्ट हो जा, so that you remain with us only, so that we can serve together. And why only that, जब मैं he was from पालमपुर, पालमपुर का रहने वाला है. एंड ही सेड कि अभी का क्यों, सर्विस का ही क्यों सोचेंगे, रिटायरमेंट का भी सोचते हैं, रिटायरमेंट में मैं पालमपुर में सेटल हो जाऊंगा. ही वांटेड टू हैव अ स्ट्रॉबेरी फार्म. एंड ही सेड कि मतलब मैं स्ट्रॉबेरी फार्म लगाऊंगा उधर, घोड़े वोड़े पर रखूंगा, तू भी आ जाना उधर, स्ट्रॉबेरी फार्म में घोड़े में घुमा करेंगे. Imagine, you try and imagine this. There is, one side action is happening, one side firefighting is happening, and here we were discussing about the retirement plans. And then I move out, and काफी देर हो गया था तो मैं आगे चला गया. And 7th early morning तक ऐसा था कि मतलब I am sitting in a bunker with an AK-47 in my hand. On the right side, there was a boulder, and on the other side of the bunker was the Pakistan's last post. On that feature, on point 4875 Pinnacle Bay, it was the last post. So whenever I used to get an opportunity, I used to get up, fire, and then duck back. 7th early morning, what they do is the enemy lobs a grenade into the bunker. I was sitting in a bunker like this with my legs stretched, with an AK-47 in my hand, and the grenade falls in front of my feet. Now, what options do I have? It's an L-shaped bunker. First, let me tell you the design of a hand grenade. A hand grenade, I'm sure the audience would have seen in the movies hand grenade. ऐसा पिन निकाल के मूवी में देखा होगा ना, पिन निकालते फेंकते, ऐसा मुंह में नहीं निकालते, मूवी में दिखाते हैं. But you remove the pin, lob the grenade. If you lob the grenade, immediately it blasts. The person who is going to lob it gets injured. So by design, it has got a time lag of 4 seconds.
Yeah.
You remove the pin, lob the grenade, it goes and falls there. 2-3 seconds later, it's going to blast so that it has a maximum impact. And the impact, when you talk about the killing radius, of course, depends upon the type of grenade, depends upon the enclosed space you're sitting in, closed space you're sitting in. It has generally got a killing radius of 5 meters or so. The grenade landed in front of my feet. I know it has got time like of 4 seconds. What do I do? How do I react now? It's an L-shaped bunker. If I'm sitting on one side, 2 of my men are sitting on the other side. The grenade is right in front of my feet. How can I possibly kick that grenade towards my own men? I could have easily kicked it to a distance. My conscience will not permit, because my own men are sitting there. My conscience did not permit me to kick the grenade. And if I can't, I also cannot get up and start running, because the bunker entrance is on the other side and the enemy is waiting there. They have lobbed a grenade. They know कि अगर grenade फेंका है तो कुछ हरकत होगा, कुछ movement होगा. They would be waiting for me to take they are waiting, somebody कुछ हरकत होगा तो they'll take a pot shot. So both the options are ruled out. So I was ट्रेनिंग में अकेडमी में सिखाया जाता है कि 4 सेकंड जो भी आपने करना है 3-4 सेकंड के अंदर करना है. So only option left for me was try to pick it and try to lob it back. Imagine now, आप अगर कोई मतलब त्योहार में अगर हम पटाखे फोड़ते हैं तो जलाते हैं तो कितना दूर भागते हैं. It's after all, it's a पटाखे, it's just a cracker. Here a live grenade with a killing radius of about 5 to 10 meters. I had to pick it up and try to lob it back. you'll appreciate. If you have to throw something, you need a proper swing, right? अगर
Hmm.
पूरा हाथ का ऐसा swing मिलेगा तो आगे जाएगा वो. बट मैं एक छोटे से कंस्ट्रेंट स्पेस में बैठा हुआ था, ऐसे उठाया, वापस फेंकने की कोशिश किया, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली it hit the boulder, rolled back, and fell in front of my feet again. Akash, I'm not dramatizing, I'm not exaggerating. I have seen death at a very close quarter. मुझे अच्छी तरह से याद है वो ग्रेनेड कैसे आके गिरा, कैसे साउंड किया, कैसे वो मतलब कैसे इट केम टू हॉट, एवरीथिंग आई रिमेम्बर. एंड इन दोस, मतलब अगर मैं बताऊंगा तो आपको लगता है कि मतलब सेकंड क्या टाइम होता है, सेकंड कुछ टाइम नहीं होता.
Hmm.
बट लेट मी टेल यू, in a scenario like where it's a matter of life and death, every fraction of a second counts, every fraction of a second matters. In those fraction of a second, I'm it was like everything started flashing in front of my eyes. My childhood, my school, my college, my parents, my brother, my sisters, my friends, it was like flashing in front of my eyes. उस टाइम पे मुझे ऐसा लगा कि मतलब जैसे ये ग्रेनेड फटेगा, नवीन तू जिंदा नहीं बचेगा.
Hmm.
When the grenade, I tried to lob it back. Unfortunately, since I didn't get a proper swing, and that too I had to lob it at the wrong end, uh, it hit the boulder, rolled back, and fell in front of my feet again. That is the time I knew the grenade is going to take off, and then I'll be no more, because the grenade is right in front of my feet. And now I started thinking ki matlab the moment my parents will get to know that I'm no more, they will be devastated,
Hmm.
obviously. But the fact of the matter is, if I sit like this and the grenade takes off, it blows my entire upper part of the body. Then what will they send home Naveen as? Some muscle pieces scattered somewhere, some bone pieces scattered somewhere, face fully distorted. Will my parents ever excuse me? Will they not want to see my face for the last time? That's the probably that's the last wish. Imagine I'm it's just a fraction of second away from death. I'm thinking all this. And I prayed to God that oh God, let my face be intact, at least so that so that my parents get to see my face for the last time. That was the only prayer in my lips. And with this, there is as I told you, there is right side, there's a big boulder, and the bunker, the ending was there. There's a small crevice, small opening between that. I
Hmm.
jumped to my right, and when I jumped to my right, since the opening was very small, my upper part of the body, what happened, it went behind the boulder, but however the legs got exposed, and then the grenade took off. I tell you, it when the grenade blasted for the next 15 seconds, I did not know whether I'm dead, whether I'm alive. I was in a state of hallucination.
Okay.
I was not knowing what's happening, whether I'm alive, whether I'm dead. 15 seconds later, the smell of cordite, smell of burnt flesh, there was ringing sound in my ears. There was dust all over. The bunker which I was, sitting in had collapsed. There was all the bunker, the sides had collapsed. 15 seconds later, whatever little bit I could gain, what I could make out was the enemy has started rushing towards us. They had launched a counter attack. They're running towards us. And what I see is one of our soldier running towards me, firing towards the enemy, and he's rushing towards me. He comes and stands in front of my bunker which had collapsed. And the first words he said, the first words I could make out was, uh, my full name is Naveen Nagappa. Anaberuka, they used to call me Anna.
Hmm.
Anna, they used to call me. The first word I could hear was Anna, tu darna nahi, main aa gaya hu. And when I see it, dust has settled, I was lying like this. When I saw him, it was Captain Vikram Batra standing in front of me. And he had uttered this word, Captain, Anna tu darna nahi. And the moment I saw him, I realized ki matlab, I'm alive. I could make out what you're saying. I could see, I could hear fires being shot. That means I'm alive. Then I tell myself, Naveen, to abhi tak nahi mara, to aage bhi nahi marega. I
Hmm.
picked up my AK-47 and started firing towards the enemy, even in that state. तब तक मेरे लोगों को पता चल गया था नवीन साहब को चोट लगी है. They also started firing. And then somehow we managed to stall the counter attack. We stalled the counter attack. Firing वहां से थोड़ी देर के लिए बंद हो गया. That is the time Captain Vikram Batra held my hand. He drags me out of the bunker because दोनों पैर में चोट लगा है. मैं खड़ा नहीं हो सकता, मैं उठ नहीं सकता, मैं चल नहीं सकता. He drags me out of the bunker. He takes me about good about 10-15 meters. He drags me. And then he tells me कि नवीन, तू जाके नीचे ट्रीटमेंट ले ले, and I'll go ahead with the battle. And he, our fists met. He gives me a tap on my back, and he starts running towards the post. I start crawling down. And for the benefit of those viewers, I'm sure many of you would have seen this movie called Shersha.
Hmm.
In the movie Shershah, this episode has been captured, where I'm sitting in a bunker, enemy lobs a grenade, I get injured, and he drags me out of the bunker. And once he drags me out of the bunker, he tells me to go and get myself treated. I'm telling him, sir, मुझे नीचे मत भेजो, मुझे लड़ना है, sir, मुझे लड़ना है. You know, if I'm thinking, sitting here, if I think now, why did I say those words? What utility I was there? दोनों पैर में चोट लगा है. I cannot get up, I cannot walk, I cannot run. But still, the very fact that I wanted to be there was, I had promised my men that
Hmm.
I want to see the tricolor hoisted, and for example, I'll not come back alive from that feature. That made me say these words. But Vicky sir insisted, नहीं तुझे नीचे जाके treatment लेना होगा. As I told he started moving towards the feature, and I started crawling down. And then I crawled about 100, meters. Imagine 150 meters I had to crawl. I had to drag my body because both my legs were injured. And I went behind the boulder after 150 meters, sat behind the boulder. And when I turned back and saw, I could see wherever I had dragged my body, wherever I had dragged my legs, I could see the blood stains all over.
Hmm.
I was in a pretty bad shape. My right leg was literally dangling. Somebody had put some applied some pressure and pulled, my leg would have come apart. I was in that bad state. One of my jawan comes me and picks me up like a gunny bag, and still we are in the firing range, in the
Hmm.
range of small arms fire. The enemy bullets can reach us. So it picks me up like a gunny bag, and to avoid those bullets, to dodge those bullets, what he's doing is he's running from one boulder to another boulder, and he's diving, he's falling down along with me. And in those moments also, I can see the enemy is firing towards us. वहां पे वो बुलेट जाके जमीन में गिर रहा है, जमीन से वो आइस और वो एक मिट्टी उड़ रहा है. He's trying to evacuate me. In that circumstance also, Akash, you don't realize what's possible, what's practical,
Hmm.
what's not possible. You don't realize. In those circumstances, वो मुझे उठा रहा है, गिरा रहा है, खुद गिर रहा है, दौड़ रहा है. मैं पीछे मुड़ के देख रहा हूँ, कहीं मेरा पैर कट के गिर तो नहीं गया, अलग तो नहीं हो गया. I wanted to take it back, give it to the doctor and, ask him to stitch it back. I was in that state of mind, not realizing what's possible, what's not possible. He like this, he brought me to a fair distance. And when we realized that we were beyond small arms fire range, हम रेंज से बाहर आ गए थे, बुलेट से के रेंज से बाहर आ गए थे. That is where they put me on a stretcher and brought me down. And imagine, Akash, I got hurt early in the morning.
Yeah.
By the time they brought me down, it was late in the evening. It was late in the evening. And doctor, the moment they saw there was too much of infection, too much of blood loss which had happened, and doctors, when they saw me, they said, okay, Naveen, it's a miracle you have survived. We don't know how you have survived. We are going to the earliest possible opportunity. We are already रात हो चुका था. तो नेक्स्ट दिन सुबह, मतलब 8 तारीख सुबह को हेलीकॉप्टर से मुझे उधमपुर भेजना था. They said the earliest possible opportunity, that is next morning, you will be put on a helicopter and the first flight we will send you to Udhampur for further
Hmm.
treatment. And मुझे सेडेटिव दे दिया, मैं सो गया, नॉट रियलाइजिंग व्हाट्स हैपनिंग इन द बैटलफील्ड. अगले दिन सुबह मुझे उठाया गया. The nursing assistant woke me up, and I was on a stretcher. They put me on a helicopter, and nursing assistant along with me, holding that IV वगैरह, पता नहीं क्या क्या पकड़ा हुआ था. I was put on a helicopter, and the helicopter took off, started moving towards Udhampur. And थोड़ी दूर पे आगे चला गया, आगे गए थे हम लोग, थोड़ी देर हुआ था हेलीकॉप्टर में. That is the time nursing assistant woke me up. एंड ही सेड, कोट अनकोट, ही सेड, साहब डॉक्टर ने उठने से मना किया हुआ है, बट वो देखिए .4875 पे तिरंगा लहरा रहा है. आकाश, आई फेल्ट so happy, I felt so elated. I felt, okay, Naveen, the mission has been accomplished. Whether you live, whether you die, it's immaterial, it's of no consequence. The mission has been accomplished. 4875, the battle has been won, the tricolor has been hoisted. I couldn't resist myself. I sat down on the stretcher, saluted the national flag. And when I was about to lie down, the nursing assistant again said, quote unquote, he said, "Saab, iske liye humne कीमत चुकाई है.
Hmm.
We had to pay a heavy price for this victory." What he meant to say was, मैंने कहा, उस्ताद, हमने क्या कीमत चुकाई है? And the nursing assistant said, "साहब, Captain Vikram Batra नहीं रहे." The moment I heard this, it was like, a big jolt for me. I couldn't really, my body couldn't take that. I was in a state of semi-unconsciousness. I couldn't take it anymore. I fell down unconscious. And the next I woke up was in Udhampur hospital. There, the infection couldn't come in control. And then later on, 2 days later, they shifted me to base hospital, Delhi.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
this is how I got injured and how I was evacuated.
Got it, sir. So how was your life, once you came out of the army and you got discharged? How was that life?
Okay, I was in the hospital for 21 months. I was there in
Hmm.
the hospital and eight major surgeries I underwent. I was in a pretty bad shape then. I was on when they 21 months later, when the doctors did their best, when they realized that surgically or medically nothing can be done, nothing more can be done, whatever best they could, they did that. And then they said ki, matlab, this is the best we could do. It's now it's nothing more can be done. And I was medically discharged from service because the state of my legs were very bad. I couldn't have continued in the defense forces, so they medically discharged me. And I still remember when I went to the hospital, when the doctor had come to see me off from Delhi airport. I was on crutches and I had a shoe up to my knees. Both my legs, then the shoes were up to my knees, so that the entire load comes onto the knees and no load is borne by the lower part of the leg.
Hmm.
And the doctor told me, for the rest of your life you'll not be able to walk without support. And he went away. I boarded the flight, came to Bangalore से मेरा brother आया होता लेने के लिए. I went back to Hubli. Akash, towards all this journey, I was telling myself, Naveen, you have to be independent. You cannot be dependent on you. I was pretty young then, had a whole life for me ahead of me, so I didn't want to be dependent on anybody. So for the next 1 year, I put myself through a lot of grind. I used to do physiotherapy for half an hour. I didn't give up. There was too much of pain, there was too much of the ache ailments, but still I never give up. I put in so much of effort. I put myself through so much of grind, so much of physiotherapy, that half an hour of physiotherapy, I never used to get sleep in the night. It used to be so painful, but I never gave up. I persisted, and finally a day came. I gave up one crutch, one brace, the second brace, and then finally, subsequently, as I told God has been kind to me. Blessings, good deeds of my elders, my parents, probably. A day came when I used to walk without any support. That was almost. It took almost a year. Thereafter, I had to do something. I couldn't have possibly dependent on pension. So since I was a mechanical engineer, I started studying. I gave my UPSC exams. I wrote my Indian engineering service exams. And then again, God has been kind. Whatever I ventured into, I saw success there. I passed Indian engineering service. And people look for lucrative sort of jobs, but I choose Minister of Defense only. So I served there for 20 years. I joined as AW, Assistant Executive Engineer, and due to performance, I rose up to the rank of Superintendent Engineer. And I had a lot of service left. I could have easily become a Chief Engineer, but still, the inner calling was there to do something for the society. So I put up my papers around 3 4 months back. I put up my papers, and now I'm a happily retired person. Having seen so much of Forge, I thought. I'll do something for the society, for the downtrodden, for the martyrs, for the Veer Naris, or the families of the brave hearts. With this intention, I have come out. Let's see, where God takes me ahead, where He holds my hand and takes me ahead.
Understood, sir. So since a lot of aspirants will be watching this, so what will be your message to all those who wants to join the forces?
Okay, the message, as I told in the beginning itself, the first thing is, if you're a different aspirant, if you're going for SSB interviews, be yourself. Project yourself the way you are. Don't try to hide something. Don't try to cook up facts. Don't try to project yourself as a person who you're not. There's a psychologist sitting there. There are a set of people who are trained in these facets of interview. They'll be able to make out. Put your best foot forward. Be who you are. Your chances of getting selected are in enhances. That is for the SSB aspirants. That is particular to the interview. And not everybody gets selected. Not everybody gets selected. And there are a lot
Mm,
of people who approach me, that they're dejected, disheartened when they get selected. They don't get selected. That does not mean that's the end of life. Firstly, the army has a set criteria. If you don't get selected, if I don't get selected, that does not mean I'm good for nothing. That only means that not good for the defense forces. I may be able to do better somewhere outside. I may be able to do something better outside, do well for myself. So if you don't get selected, that's not the end of life. And it is not that ki, matlab, you'll have to serve the nation only by donning the uniform. There are various other means. Being a civilian also, you can, you can do service to the. There are various means and avenues which are available. Be a good citizen. Be a good citizen. Uh, the last thing I would like to convey is when I also came out of, as when medically discharged, with a lot of pain, with the crutches, 21 months in hospitalization, having at a very young age, having seen so much of death, pain, injury. I had seen a lot of things in my life. When I came outside, when I saw the society, the way people fight, the political, the what's happening in the society outside, it used to really pain me, ache me. Did I fight for this? Did I sacrifice so much for this? Is it worth it? Let me tell you, Akash, I got hurt on 7th July 99. Captain Vikram Batra
Mm,
also made the ultimate sacrifice on the same day. 20 years later, on 7th July 2019, our entire team of JAKRIF officers and the men who had fought the battle, we were all taken on a helicopter and dropped on 4875. And 20 years later, when I stood there at 16,000 feet, when I saw the tricolor fluttering high, and knowing that I also had a small role to play in that, saluting the national flag at that altitude and seeing the national flag fluttering majestically high and announcing to the world that the flag is the greatest. And when you salute that with the knowledge that you were cause for the national flag to fly so high, I felt I lived my life. There is nothing to look forward to. The message I would like to convey to the youngsters is not necessarily in the defense forces. If you're in the defense forces, have your aim. If you're not in the defense forces, also you can aim so high that the moment you achieve it, you will have to put in your heart and soul. You have to work hard. Nothing comes free. The moment you achieve that, you should feel you have lived your life. There's nothing to look forward to. And I've lived that. It gives so much of satisfaction. It gives so much of pleasure. It gives so much of joy that only a person who can experience that can only live that to tell it.
mm,
So have that ambition in your life, have a big goal, and strive hard to achieve that. And the last thing I would like to convey is, imagine, ladies and gentlemen, 527 soldiers sacrificed their life in Kargil War. 1,300 of them have got injured. Before you do any task, before you do something of impactful value, just think, are we really worthy of those sacrifices? Do we really deserve those sacrifices? This happens to be 25 years of Kargil. 26th of July, we will be having 25 years of Kargil victory.
mm,
We owe it to them. We owe it to those people who gave up everything. As the famous saying goes, some gave, few gave some. So there are some people who gave all. All gave some. We all have given something, but some gave all. Those 527 soldiers have given their all. We owe it to them. It is time to remember those sacrifices. The least we can do is remember them, speak about them on that day. If not that, at least we can light a diya in honor of those 527 soldiers and their families on 26th of July. This is the message I would like to convey, Akash.
got you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir, for your time on this session. It was very interesting to know your story, and I hope a lot of the story that you have told us about your life will inspire a lot of people. Thanks again, sir, for your time
Hope
here.
so.
Jai Hind.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.